Okay, as you can see, we had a connection issue again. Sorry. Thanks for bearing with some of this as we get it sorted out. We actually did complete the level at the end there, but was at that point that we had discovered we had DC'd once again. So just a moment while I try to get a resumption. The last segment was kind of cool. I wanted to point something out in the last segment past a checkpoint, and I actually kind of want to go back to show that off again, because it was quite cool to look at. And then it'll give everybody a bit of padding for a minute while we resume. So let me just get back to Sneakin's profile. Well, I mean, I can also do current. Yeah, sorry about that. It's just it seems like it's definitely a home internet issue, and then I lost connection on both my streaming computer and my Switch, as you can see, that it didn't register to clear. So we will go back to the world and we'll resume it, and I'll replay that because I was trying to talk about something interesting at the end of that level. Something interesting about the level. So let me punch that in again. Thank you for bearing with all the technical problems again. It's usually not nearly this bad. But again, if we can respond to that promptly, that's more convenient for me overall. So let's see if it actually kept my save point. Yeah, it would have kept it after the bonus room. So we'll just do that again quickly. It's not hard. Yeah, and thank you everyone for coming back in and staying, despite the problems we've been experiencing. Okay. Yeah, you can see from all the death markers there that a lot of people were as thrown off as I was. Okay, so let's get back over here, pop the next switch, and enter the door. And forward. Hey Narwhal, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We just actually reconnected after a whole bunch of issues, so it may seem like this is going to be a fairly short stream from this point on, since we actually had been running for some time, but the queue is still open and submissions are welcome. I hope the bot is behaving, by the way. I'm not sure if it is. Yeah. Because a lot of other systems on this end are not behaving today. But that was purely a home internet interruption on our side, to my knowledge. So, everything should be back in order. So yeah, thank you for Rotten to the Core. We'll try to get to that soon enough. I think with all the DCs that we've had, some people go offline anyway, so the queue is almost certainly shorter than it looks, although I haven't checked the offline status in a while. So currently we are doing a world, and we have 3 stages left. This one, and one more, and then the castle, and then we are going to move on to the next one from there, for those wondering what the current state of the program is. Okay, so past checkpoint 2, this is the thing I was wanted to point out when I was disconnected. Because I'm pretty sure I DC'd before I managed to get this observation through. Okay, so we're going to trust that coin there. Now watch this. Watch the background. Look at how the bonsai speed matches the parallax of the background, and it looks like they're kind of suspended in midair. Like, that's really pretty neat. And yes, I just replayed this level not only to register to clear while properly connected to the network, but also just to show that off, because I thought that was it threw me off completely the first time I saw it. And that the speed actually matches the cloud speed. That's a very cool effect. I think it's one of these games where, you know, with Mario, when you play it enough, you just kind of stop noticing the backgrounds after a little while, because the foregrounds are just very clearly where all the action is isolated. We're going for the top of the flag and failing at that, but it does make people miss, for sure. We should not have done that. We should use it. No, we should have gone left to begin with. Should have gone left. Yeah. So was this a fairly early creation of yours that you worked into this world? I'm kind of wondering, because you've been quite prolific since, of course. And I mean, it's a fun design, but it does definitely strike me as an early work relative to, you know, some of the design principles I could see you following much later on. But the Parallax is neat. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I like doing optional content. First player to touch the top of the flagpole, well, I mean, yeah, I think it was worthwhile in that I did not touch the top of the flagpole earlier when I disconnected. So I felt like I had to make up for that, I guess. So, 2 more in this world. And we will try to do it again. So, Narwhal, I guess I should be glad that you presumably did not send me a propeller level if you could not beat it yourself. I guess for once the clear checks are doing their job. Fireflower, great. Except now we need to kind of crouch into this door up left, right? Okay, that's probably not the way. That probably takes us elsewhere. It was a reset for Small Mario or something, but it seemed like a roll, okay. Achievement unlocked yet again. And yeah, we're grabbing that flower again. Well, I mean, it's the avoidable kind of troll where, like, you had to go out of your way to see it in the first place, out of curiosity. I see it once, it's not like you blunder into it again. So I forgive you in this once. Definitely not a first impressions kind of level, though. I'm sure you know that by now. But hey, you've been here often enough that I trust you, so... Whoops. Okay. Yeah, not really looking forward to getting through all those disconnections and cutting the VOD properly later. Speaking of which, for those of you who are new here, I do save permanent videos of viewer levels in case you want to refer to them again, so they don't just expire after 14 days the way that Twitch broadcasts usually do. I know that not a lot of people necessarily go back to watch those, but sometimes I do because I want to dig up a level code that had already been pushed off my recently played list, but a particularly good or memorable level. We are totally, at least thinking of going for that 50 coin. Yes, we will. Yes, we can. Oh, interesting that that goes up. Whoa, okay. That moves quickly. This is... yeah, this level is the reason you gave a choice. That makes sense to me. Okay, that's fine. Just needed to have a little bit more horizontal momentum going into that. I need a shorter bounce, I think. Whoops. That was very unnecessary death. Not a hard segment at all. We're just looking ahead and thinking ahead. That was causing us no end of trouble. There we go. Let's actually do that in order. Whoa. Yeah, I find it difficult to publish anything if it doesn't feel kind of unique and original enough, which is probably not very good in terms of, you know, having a good selection of levels to work with to fill something like a world. Because I do like, you know, standard traditional platforming. It's just that every time I've tried to build it, it has escalated into some kind of ambitious, unmanageable gimmick. So eventually, someday, I too may nail the art of a platforming level that's just a platforming level. But yeah, it is very easy to just kind of feel a little bit stumped. But thankfully, I think the new update has resolved a lot of that for makers who kind of get anxious about originality, just from all the new ideas that people are learning for the first time. And yeah, Narwhal, like, you know, taking existing ideas like that is absolutely a fine way to start when a lot of them is in the execution, right? Like, you probably know what I'm talking about if I'm mentioning the kind of skull platform blue wave concept. Like, even in Mario Maker 1, that was already pretty popular because it was on channels like Sieve. And, which is one of the very few Mario Maker YouTube channels I've actually watched thoroughly. And I've seen probably like a dozen different courses that use the Blue Skull platform Blue Wave. And the thing is, each one of them has actually felt very different, because ultimately it wasn't really about the wave, it was about the way you build around them, right? And the way you kind of let the player read the track and navigate the obstacles in front of them. Hi, Derp Curb. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we'll be doing a queue closure fairly soon. I do know that, like, if you're coming in now, you probably saw that this stream just started X minutes ago, but that's because we had a pretty bad disconnection earlier. So I'm not actually going to be running for much longer, but I will still take submissions at this point. Last call will be pretty soon, though, probably as soon as I wrap up this world. But yeah, you know, big patches like this, and this will be apparently the final major update, like, big patches like this are one of our last opportunities to really be learning a whole bunch of new stuff together. In spite of the fact that, like, games like Mario Maker, particularly with Mario Maker 1, new tech was being discovered for years, even after the official updates had stopped. But in terms of, you know, tech that is very popularly known and circulated, there will come a point when, you know, a lot of things will feel familiar to people, and like variations on a theme. And that there will be kind of a difference between, you know, new players coming in and an established player base that already is expected to read all of the complex mechanical interactions and know exactly what to do, right? So, like, what I'm getting at is that, like, a patch is one of those few opportunities to all have that reset button together and to all be kind of equally unfamiliar with what certain elements are doing and what they interact with. Okay, so we've finally done this. And it looks like a checkpoint to the right. We better take that. Yeah, new tech will come along, of course. Like, I have no doubt of that. Why did we... Okay, no, I see what's going on. Wondering why this looks so familiar. Involving Dry Bowser. Well, I mean... Were you envisioning just a way that Dry Bowser worked in NSMB? Because I actually don't remember too much of his NSMB set, to be honest, and what makes him unique there, unless you just want something that's kind of stompable in the way that Dry Bones are. But with the kind of full palette of what Bowser does. But yeah, I'd be happy to see Dry Bowser. I'm just kind of wondering how you imagined he would be implemented. Okay, no, I want to get on top of Cannon Stack, at least the Cannon Stack on the left, I think. No, I want to get on the next cloud level, and then I want to get on top of a Cannon Stack. We can do this. We can do this. Not concerned about our ability to do it. Okay, maybe coming up the side was not the best idea. You know, I've realized when streaming a bit that occasionally submitters will just ask me, like, what's your favorite kind of level? And I never have a good answer to that, because I basically like anything that will teach me new stuff and give me something to talk about when it comes to design. And then I realized, okay, no, I actually do have a kind of favorite. And my favorite are the boss battles. Because some of them can be rather bad, but they typically are the things that make the most use out of that sort of mix and match technical element of Mario Maker in a way that still feels somewhat standard to play through and not necessarily trolly, right? Like, where it's not like the troll levels are the ones doing all the mechanics research. So I think quite possible that my favorite are the boss battles, and now that we have a boss battle tag in the game, that'll build up some anticipation. Boss rushes, too. Okay, so let's actually take the center column this time. The only way we'll get enough height. And that was going to be a dash. I mean, I could get back on the cannon box, but then I would want to take the center column afterwards. So, let's get back on and see how that goes. Yeah, maybe pick to the right. Oh, that's going to be a disaster. And a disaster in the exact same way. Yeah, I mean, I know we have access to the castle already, but I feel committed to this. We have a bank of 35 lives, so... We'll try to do it in a reasonable amount of time, though, because we do have the castle after this, and we do have a few levels queued afterwards, so it's very likely I will close the queue at the end of this level, not the end of this world, at the end of this level. So anybody watching who wants to submit a code, this will be last call. Please submit as soon as you can to ensure that you do in fact get played. And there we go, sandwiched in the same spot again. Yeah, no worries if you can't stay, Derek. I enjoyed playing your submissions previously today, so I hope you will be back for more. I don't know if you've followed this channel, but regardless, hope to see more submissions. No, that's a disaster again. That's okay, we just learned to dodge the red bullet that time. Now we are late on everything. Absolutely everything. Okay, I usually commit to finishing everybody who is in the queue at a time that I close. I will still try to do that. That may be a bit difficult today, so... basically, I have not failed in that commitment yet, but occasionally I have had to go way over in order to keep it. And today, I actually don't have that much flexibility to go over, because I do have stuff to do afterwards. Okay, there's the pipe. We're almost at the end. Ride the cannon 50% up. I'm kind of thinking about that. It was a little difficult to plan around that time. Again, you know, auto-scroll, as I've said with other levels earlier on this stream, they're vertical. I think they do have a way of feeling very claustrophobic on the y-axis. So Narwhal123, this is one of my regular time slots for viewer levels. In that I start Wednesdays at 10 AM Pacific, 1 Eastern, 6 British Summer Time, 7 Central European. That's in summer, of course. So this is one of my regular slots. I've been doing additional slots lately, you know, kind of depending on availability. I do a late night stream some days when I'm able. That's kind of 12 hours flipped from this one, so starting 10 PM Pacific or 1 AM Eastern, or morning Europe. Lately I've been, so that's for viewer levels. Lately I've been doing some non-viewer level catch-up streams as well, of longer levels and some full worlds. That tends to be on weekends. The schedule that we have posted right now only really refers to this Wednesday as the most regular slot, but that's because that's the kind of one point of consistency. Like, the reality is that we try to do about 3 Mario Maker streams a week. It's probably easiest if you give it a follow, and we'll have a more precise schedule and nailed down as I do more streaming, so... Oh, wow, we're still getting submissions. Okay, I really do need to close off now, because otherwise this will be unmanageable. So just give me a moment to mark my stream title is also closed, and to refresh the bot to indicate this. Thank you those of you who have submitted. Let's see here. Just going to do a little bit of management. And Sneakin', given the volume of submissions, like, I mean, I'll beat this one. It's quite possible I may not even make it as far as the castle. I may try to give that at least one attempt to save our position, but, you know, we suddenly got a pretty big influx, and I do need to wind down soon, so... we'll see how we do, like, with this level in terms of getting through it quickly. Let me just refresh the bot so it actually does accurately indicate that we are now closed. Narwhal123, the way to participate in a raid is just to stay to the end of the stream, and when I forward you to somebody I'm going to raid, you will be part of it. And I typically do that. Like at the end of the stream, I will try to find somebody who's hopefully running fewer levels. Sometimes it'll be somebody I know and trust, and sometimes it will be somebody who I don't. But I try to usually send you on to Mario Maker content, because I know that as submitters, that's probably what you'll be looking for. So yeah, let's ride the right side and get bopped up into that high cannonball. Yeah, here's the drill. I will finish this level. I will see how many people in the current queue are actually online. Then I'll make my decision there as to whether to take a look at the castle. But the thing is, you know, you're here all the time, and I'll probably push through some of it on the backlog stream, not during your levels themselves. Oh, I already cleared the castle. Okay. Okay, I might take a look at just what that level is anyway, then, just to give it, you know, a quick attempt. But we'll see. We'll see. Because of course I may have cleared the castle, but I am kind of doing everything with a finite bank of lives now too, right? And so that might change the experience a bit in terms of risk management. Burning through that bank though, considering that we were in the 50s earlier. Burning right through it. Okay. Oh. Oh, no. Yeah, I guess previously we were taking the left side on that segment. Yeah, that seems to be a good pattern there. Oh, no, 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 no. Total miss. Total miss. This section? Yeah, this section is definitely a little bit more troublesome than I expected coming in. But that's just something I gotta get used to. Need to make some judgment calls sometimes about whether I want to ride cannons. Okay, let's... Oh, nope, nope, that's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem. Okay. Almost recovered. Almost recovered that one. It is actually kind of nice to be able to track how many attempts I'm burning on it. Given that, you know, under ordinary circumstances with levels played as singletons, that would not be... I have a number in the corner for. I mean, I guess people play Endless would be used to that, but I rarely play Endless. I haven't since the first month of the game, so... Right side on second 3 tile is the dev comment. Yeah, we'll see if we can do that. And yeah, so those of you waiting behind this level, I appreciate your patience as we figure out what to do with this one here. Feels like I'm relatively committed to it, so, you know, we'll get through it. It's just finding the appropriate pattern on the way up. Oh boy, that looks like a disaster. Yep. Well, I mean, I guess we're reducing our bank to something a little more challenging as we get into some other levels after this one in a future continuation. Yeah, I didn't think the game over threat was going to be so serious when we started out with 42 lives. But we'll see if that's the case. Yeah, and like I said, at the end of this, I'll at least comb through the offliners to see how realistic the queue actually is. I'm kind of behind my usual schedule already, but we can hopefully run through all of that if at least some of those levels are quick to deal with. Nope. Narwhal, if you click the link that is in the bot list, it will actually show you who Twitch is currently detecting as online. That is why I link it, so those of you in queue can have a fuller picture of what's going on. I haven't looked at that in a while myself, so I don't have my eye on it right now, but we'll try to get through as much as we can. I know I sort of said that implicitly I would have a max of half an hour for the worlds as well, but we were interrupted by some pretty frequent disconnections earlier, so I do want to do this level while we are on it. We only really have so many attempts left anyway before we get game over.